Hey, it's me, the NPC. This week I want to focus on Source Gaming's own series, Rate That Character, and offer some second opinions. Now, I'm not here to call them out or start any drama. I just want to provide some contrasting opinions on points they've made. Now, I want to start out with something a little different. I'm going to go back to my verdict on the ARMS cast and adjust my scores. I think I was too generous in my initial rating. Smash tends to wait for franchises to prove themselves before dedicating a spot on the roster for them. Makes sense, as you never know when you're going to have a dud on your hands. While ARMS had a decent reception, any character would need to be plotted out in the earliest periods of development, and ARMS' release has almost no chance of lining up with that. I still want to keep hope alive with how much any of these characters would fit perfectly with Smash, but I can't say it's a sure thing. I'm going to reduce my scores for each character by 2, but not give any of them less than 1. Next, let's talk about a character that I actually agree with Source Gaming on entirely, Takamaru. Nintendo's Premier Samurai has had a lot of build-up over the years. He's had cameos, a Virtual Console re-release, a minigame in Nintendo Land, and an assist trophy in the last Smash. While he was considered too obscure to make the roster earlier, I really don't think that applies anymore. Sure, he's yet another swordsman, but he is a Japanese samurai as opposed to all the European-styled knights we've seen. It could even pave the way for a revival of his series, similar to what happened to Kid Icarus. Even if he doesn't get a new game out of it, having some out-there entries is always a crowd pleaser. I can't think of a better option for the next retro throwback, and I give Takamaru a 5. Okay, it's time to start getting argumentative with one of Source Gaming's most controversial calls, Pauline. Now, this was one of their earliest episodes, and it's likely that they simply hadn't gotten a feel on how to scale their scores yet. That would explain why a character with a fair bit going for her is sitting with the lowest score they've ever given. Pauline's return to prominence has been going for a while, so getting her to the roster to tie in with Super Mario Odyssey actually isn't a huge stretch. The biggest factor in whether or not she makes it will be if Sakurai sees potential in her. None of us expected Rosalina to get called up, but she proved to be a perfect fit for a puppeteer character. If Pauline can land a similar niche, she could easily be playable. One possibility is to arm her with the wind-up toys from Mario vs. Donkey Kong and make her a trap zoning character. She is probably not a high priority, but she definitely has potential. I give Pauline a 3. We go from a character that was scored too low to one that was scored too high. Arlie from Puyo Puyo. It's true that Arlie is on the radar when it comes to who Japanese fans voted for in the Smash ballot. However, there's one very important factor that Source Gaming overlooked that pretty much kills her chances entirely. Nintendo doesn't need her. If they wanted a magical girl that can have a moveset inspired by puzzle games, they don't even have to bother licensing Arlie for it, because they already have one of their own. Lip from Panel de Pawn. Now, whether or not Lip would actually make the roster is another story, but the fact is that it would make far more sense for Nintendo to put a spotlight on one of their own than jump through hoops for a character that only a single market would even recognize. I give Arlie a 1. Lastly, we have another character that was scored way too high, despite scoring really low, Blood Falcon. Now, I know some people think this guy has a chance at being a clone, but let me explain why that's actually a terrible idea. As I mentioned in my discussion on Dark Pit, making a character recognizable at a glance is a vital part of game design. This is why good silhouette design is such a big talking point with any game. Dark Pit was able to differentiate himself from Pit with darker colors for his wings. Blood Falcon, however, doesn't have anything like that. Keep in mind that with 8-player Smash now being a thing, every character needs 8 different alternate colors minimum. What colors could they possibly give to Captain Falcon and Blood Falcon that don't overlap with each other? The most prominent part of both their models is their racing uniforms, and there's nothing else large enough to be given a contrasting color. With how far the camera can zoom out in Smash, little details like the skull emblem or the spikes on the shoulder pad don't do the job. They could give Blood Falcon a more feral posture to make him stand out from the captain, but then he starts to become more work than he's really worth. Maybe he can be expanded into more of an alternate costume with some altered voice lines like the male and female versions of Wii Fit Trainer, Robin, and Corrin. However, making Blood Falcon his own character on the roster would only hurt the game as a whole. Blood Falcon gets a 0. Well, that does it for this episode. Next episode will be focused on a very interesting rumor going around that's really caught my attention. Leave a comment below with any characters you want to see discussed, and I'll see you next time.